Welcome to our continuation of the topic, the culture of silence in issues management, public relations implication. Last week, I have eminent personalities who are with me to discuss this issue, and they were very forthright, elucidating the reasons why the majority are silent. They mention fear, they mention intimidation, they mention a lot of things, and failure of government to come up with the policies to drive this society. They are here with me this week, and I have Barrister Kayode Aderemi. Barrister Kayode Aderemi is a lawyer and a human rights activist. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
And I also have Comrade Yinka Folare, a human rights activist and a man who has been lending his voice to changing the environment to have equalities, to have a modern society, to have an egalitarian society. And I want to welcome you. You've been doing a good job. Welcome once again this week.
Well, thank you very much, and good evening, our viewers from all over the places.
Well, we are looking at why the majorities are silent and the minorities are having their way. We've talked about the case studies where it was observed that people prefer to keep silent until an accident happens in the workplace. Even in the health environment, the nurses would prefer to keep mute, and we had about 90% of case studies showcasing that when a physician is at fault, nurses would prefer to keep silent, and that is detrimental to our health. That is detrimental to national growth. And of course, we looked at the issue of economy. This time around, can we look at the social implication of this on the society, on the up and coming ones, on the youth, and how can we grow a nation that will be viral, that will meet the expectation of future leaders?
Well, I see. The thing is that how do we grow? Let me start from what you ended with. How do we grow? Which is to keep educating. It's to have programs like this. And I need one to advise viewers at home or wherever you're watching from to make it a date with programs like this, actually, because it enlightens the mind. Why is Great Britain better, so to speak, than Nigeria? Why do we like things like Canada, Singapore, USA, and the likes, Australia? It's because they've advanced. They've learned many things that we are still learning now. So advancement gives exposure to the mind. Let's keep on exposing. People should know. Why do you think people blast themselves up in the north? Boko Haram. How much would you want to pay me, Mr. Comrade Folani, that will make me strap bomb on myself and boa? What religion, whether Christianity or Islam, do you want to tell me that will make me kill when I have children? And I have a future. I can't.
But when you know that, when you know that about 7 to 21,
Virgins, I don't need them. Even here, I don't have two. I have just one wife. What will I do with 7 over there? So it is wrong indoctrination. That's my point. So people should be enlightened. It helps. Now, Section 38 of our Constitution talks about right to freedom of thought, religion, and conscience. 39 is not a mistake. It's a follow-up to that. It talks about right to freedom of expression. So when you have right to opinion, automatically you have right to expression. So people should be free to really express themselves. All right. So that is the social effect it's having, is that we're having like a muzzled people who are afraid. You know, when a dog is scared, the dog tucks the tail under the legs. But
why should people be afraid? We are in a democracy. There's freedom of speech. Freedom of expression.
Where is Sunday Igboho today? You were speaking. People that speak oftentimes are picked up and locked up. All right. There is the constant, look at the president's speech, October 1. People that are against secession. Secession actually is not fully backed by the law. But at the same time, right to self-determination is also not against the law. People can say that we want to be governed in this certain way.
Let me quickly come in, because you are a lawyer. And if we must give confidence to the society for them to be bold and say it as it ought to be, then we have justice. The law, I'm talking about the way justice is dispensed in Nigeria. The law is there. The court of law is there. Why can't we have the confidence that when we express ourselves, the court of law will be there to back us up and give us the freedom and back us on our rights? No, I want the lawyer.
Well, I'm sure that Comrade Folarin will have a right at what I'm able to say.
Okay.
But the court is always there anyway. Okay. And I will stop. I think Comrade Folarin wants to give a response to that.
Well, to me, I would say court as one of the institutions is always there, like you said. But
do you have the
autonomy that is not there is another factor. You know, that reminds me of what they will say, that you have to, of the truth, you have your right to freedom of expression, but freedom after that expression
it's not guaranteed.
Is what will not be guaranteed. It is in this same Nigeria that we will land that, and it is not for any other reason other than it is to intimidate and to negotiate people's rights from them. I would say, well, people would have enough confidence in the institution, because in the judiciary, though we have no option, either you would like it or not, you must have confidence in that institution as a
what
last.
What is the role of the ombudsman?
What exactly?
The public complaint commission.
And then, some agencies that
are supporting justice system generally.
System.
Yeah, just like a support system.
Those are platforms where
people can go to. Exactly. Yeah, but
and
the courts cannot address all problems. That's why even as of today we have the Ogun State Multi-Door Courthouse. It's an alternative to dispute resolution. So court is litigation, yeah, but there are several other ways. Even Alake and Kabiyesi and even Bales, all right, they have their own meetings too, where they try to resolve disputes. So those people you've mentioned are really helping, like, or even that many NGOs are helping, human rights and CSOs as well. They're helping to manage human rights generally.
I asked that question because in the society we know that government has created a space for them to operate, to reduce the cost that will be met by the citizens. And if we have that, at the lower level, justice should be seen to be dispensed to such people. It is your image, your public relations program on TV. You are glad that you are with us and you are listening to our eminent discussion. Please, let's have a break. We'll be back so soon. Welcome back. It's still your image. The issue we are discussing is the culture of silence in issues management. And what are the implications of the majority being silent when the minorities are taking the space? And you can see that the society is not growing as expected. Well, I still have my guests here seated with me, and we've been discussing it. They've been very open and frank, and I'd like to also welcome one of the guests, Larry Riemi. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, on this issue, what is your take?
Well, the culture of silence is a very big problem in the world generally, because when you look at what culture of silence have done in blue chip companies, in multinational companies like Toyota, that has a very big brand name globally, you will know that the culture of silence is something that we really need to draw a line between when to vocalize and when not to vocalize. But more often than not, we want to use this proverbial adage. I wouldn't want the one people will use his head to break a coconut. And you know, that is the African proverbial parlance. And what that means is that if you decide to be so forward, to talk, when you're supposed to be silent, then you bear the consequences of your action. But more often than not, if we don't talk again on the other side of the divide, things may go awry, things may go bad, things may go, you start regretting later. If we had known, we would have spoken out. At all levels of corporate governance, even from the home perspective, to the community, to corporate environment, to politics, just name it, you find a culture of corporate silence everywhere. And this is a huge problem in terms of when to speak and when not to speak and how to speak. And in PR, in public relations, we have our various publics. And most of the time, the work of a PR requires you communicating, you talking, but you can see that there is a divergence between what a PR man should be doing when he finds himself in a corporate environment vis-a-vis his publics. He's supposed to be informing, he's supposed to be talking, but most of the time, even these days, even...
Let me just interject.
Okay.
When should we talk and when should we not talk?
Well,
because this is a program that is enlightening
yes,
and educating the populace.
We should talk when you notice a red flag. When you notice something will go wrong, even if the culture of our society does not favor you talking. But if you have to save life, for example, and you say if you talk, they will say, what's your business about it? You still have to talk because life is involved.
I will come in again because this culture of fear should be removed from our psyche. Of course, if we have to talk, you have to be very diplomatic. Even in the corporate world, if you have one or two things to say, there are some procedures that you have to engage in to put in your opinion. A situation where we have nurses keeping quiet when there is a big error on the part of a physician, it does not augur well for humanity. A situation where we have projects being executed in communities, even in the corporate environment, and you can see clearly that danger is looming and we keep silent, that does not augur well. So, and we have the non-governmental organizations who are supposed to be the one to lend voice onto such issues. I think there are channels. We must begin to let the people know that if you cannot say something, you can pass it on to the appropriate quarters, who will now be able to handle it in a matured manner, corporately, and taking the laws appropriately, so that such is all come for learning. What's your take on this?
Well, obviously, you have said it the way it should be. We must not keep quiet. As citizens, you should be able to, you should know that it is your right to speak against any odd in the society, especially as it has to do with projects. I've been watching the ICPC sponsored messages telling the people it is your money, it is your project, it is your constituency project, it's your project, follow it up, speak out, do this, do that. And the citizens need more orientation as far as that is concerned, because even our so-called politicians, they enjoy the silence of the people. When the people are silent, they try they triumph the more, and they so much benefit from it. But it is our own responsibility as a civil society organization to also double up our effort by giving necessary orientation to the people. Don't you may not even need to shout. There are ways of communicating, like the one of the nurse.
Can you enlighten public on the way
Yes,
to communicate.
you can always reach out to us, even sending a message, carrying out your own preliminary investigation that okay, you suspected this. There's also a project that was done is not is a cosmetic project. They've just packaged this, packaged that. Once you give us that information, we will go on into proper and thorough investigation to use the Freedom of Information Act to ask questions from the appropriate authority or even individual that is representing us. How much was used for social projects? Okay, there was a particular year my organization asked a certain senator some questions that, okay, we are aware that you were given some constituency project to do this and that. Can you just give us a list of those projects that you have done in your constituency? And the man came up and said, oh, you people don't even know the job of the lawmaker. Is it for lawmaker to embark on constituency projects? We said, okay, but it was given to you. Let us have information. And if you think there was no constituency projects given to you or in your constituency, then just reply us. Behold, he couldn't. And at the end of the day, when we went into thorough investigation, we ended up discovering that most of the acclaimed projects he came up to present were just nothing to write home about. So it is the people that will help. When you keep silent, it is your money that you are keeping silent over. When a governor, a senator, or even your chairman is not doing what is expected and you feel that, oh, when you talk, they can intimidate you. No, it is your right to speak out. And if you don't want to speak out openly, please and please, our doors are open. At the level of the civil society, just write to any of the organization. Even if you don't know which organization to address it to, you can write to the chairman of the coalition of civil society in the state, and through that we'll be able to know which organization can handle what.
Thank you very much, Comrade Folani. It's your image, the public relations program on TV. You are asked to speak out, but do it diplomatically. Well, let's look at contemporary environment. In so many climes now, we have found out that this culture too has crept into those areas. And let's look at the issue of religion. I know religion is a touchy issue, but we are now bedeviled with crisis. We are now bedeviled with a lot of banditry, kidnapping, and the like. The citizens are privy to the information that certain elements are within our environment, and they keep quiet. What's your advice as a lawyer?
Thank you. Well, I hinted this last week when we talked about this issue, and I gave empirical example.
Okay.
The example I gave is this, by way of expansion. The reason we have more cases of crime, deadly crimes, more in the north crisis than the south is basically civilization or exposure. That's the basic thing. And like Comrade Folani said, silence has become a tool that irresponsible public office holders use at times. All right. Same thing for illiteracy. They keep them under perpetually like that. All right. So that's just what is responsible. So the solution is just keep on enlightening people. Keep on opening their eyes, their minds by, like I said last week, programs like this. All right. So it is common up there, like the example you cited. If for example now, in fact, not even if, it happened in my area, in Abeokuta where I live. A particular man comes to the junction, he sits on a culvert at about 5 to 7 p.m. He just smokes. So I've been asking around, whenever I get home late, does anybody know this man? Lo and behold, nobody in that axis knows that man. Nobody.
And so, they feel less concerned.
No, not less concerned. Everybody had been watching. At times he acts like a madman. So one day I walked up to him. Mr. Man, get up! I shouted. Of course, I had armed myself in case he wanted to attack me. Get up! What are you looking for? He's waiting for someone. Who are you waiting for? When is the person coming? I saw he was lying. That was the last day he came there.
Okay.
All right. Because I knew better. He could be a spy.
Sure.
Really. But if it is a place where people are so poor, I'm sorry, like in some places in the north, who cares? Unjenu, what you want to eat will be your concern. Really. So there is a link between crime and poverty. There is surely a link. As a lawyer, I can tell you that most cases I've handled, people have defended in the court. Whether in Ogun State, Lagos, wherever, or Osun State that I go around and practice, for little crimes, most times, they are committed by the poor. Little crimes, like pilfering, stealing, like that. How many times have you heard, for instance, that a high-profile person, is involved in rape? It happens, though, but very, very rarely. So that's what we get to see oftentimes. So it is really, there's a tie, a strong tie between poverty and crime. It's a strong tie. That of course can't be taken away.
We know the causes of all such things. When citizens are deprived, they will tell you that the only recipe is to go for any opportunity to find a way to survive. Well, that's not an excuse. Larry, yeah, you are a PR expert. What are the solutions to this culture of silence?
Thank you very much. I think the solution has been pointed out earlier at the level of what I heard my colleagues preferred, and that is to vocalize. When you find yourself in a situation where you need to talk.
How do you vocalize?
Well,
what are the steps to take
as a PR person, depending on the environment where you are operating? If, for example, you are operating in a corporate environment, there are various PR media that one can use, like the newsletter, like the billboard. For example, there are so many things that take place within an industrial environment that people take for granted and eventually will lead to either industrial accident or there. But as a PR person, if you find yourself in a corporate environment, it's your duty to keep warning your various publics, your internal publics and external publics, that if you have to go towards the conveyor belt, this is the antenna you should put up, don't take anything for granted. So when you keep doing that, then you are informing your publics adequately. Then for the external publics, if you are, for example, if you are entering a poultry now, you will hear some people tell you, please, can you put on your poultry boots? There will be some boot for you.
So protective mechanisms
and education,
constant
education, very, very
Thank
important.
you very much, Sereme. Yes. Your last choice, Barrister. On solution.
This is not my last word, by the way.
I said your last shot.
on this matter. Yeah.
On this matter. No, we still need you.
Very well. So if we have no right to complain that things are going bad, if we see what is bad and we're not saying anything about it. Some will say that if you see something, say something. So no matter how much demonized you are, no matter how much haunted you are, we just have to continue to speak. God gave you a tongue for a reason. Use it rightly.
Thank you very much. Comrade Folani.
Well, I would just like to re-echo the slogan of my organization, which is my right is my right is my right. You should always know it is your right to speak out. It is your right to correct the ills in the society and make the society a better place for all. Thank you.
It is your responsibility as a leader in the corporate world, as a community leader, as a citizen, and a national leader to do what is right. In the corporate world, encourage dialogue, encourage relationship, encourage proper education, and allow policies to adequately run in your corporate entity. And of course, the national leaders too. You have the right to educate within the people within your community. Let there be genuine democracy in our nation. It is your image, and we are ending this program with my eminent personal. I want to appreciate Larry Riemi for coming on board.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Barrister Adiremi.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad that you have an NGO that's going to add more to the voice that you've been lending to society.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Comrade Folani,
Thank you.
it's nice having you around. Until next week, when we have another topic, please join us.